Welcome back to Sentient Synchronicities. Today on this very special corporate colonial occasion to celebrate a Roman saint that wouldn't even be that in white supremacist traditions even, because it's completely hypocritical, like say, I don't know, the opposite of what we should be celebrating, which is true love, yo, respect, brethren. But true love has to do with Lupercalia, which actually is a mistranslation of Latin too, regardless, and that has to do with the celebration of the coming together of the peoples. So it's like wild beings of the forest of nature, of Mother Nature, that are actually celebrating together and coming together and celebrating and feasting and enjoying themselves, both in every way you could think of. It's certainly not in terms of carnal desires, which actually have to do with eating flesh, but you know that already. A lot of people do anyways. That's the true meaning of carnal desires. So on St. Valentine's, be carnal in a true, healthy, sustainable way with your partner without eating carne, which is flesh in Spanish and Chicano and a bunch of languages. So please don't eat the flesh of innocent children and try to be carnal at the same time. That doesn't make sense. It's like BDSM that's born from the Marquis de Sade. That's a sick, twisted fuck that raped children, abused them, and made fantasies about all kinds of shit like that. He was so sick in the head that imagine when the French revolutionary anarchists found him in a cell, they left him there to rot and die because they didn't know how to kill him. Because he was like, oh yes, please torture me. Supposedly, according to history, that's what happened to the Marquis de Sade. They let him die in a rotting cell because he was too twisted and perverted, and he was looking forward to getting tortured by the revolutionaries that were ending the monarchy. And what is a monarchy? The patriarchy and a monoculture. Let's say a single use of something, like one use, one this, one that, one single use plastics, or one book, one religion, one word, yo, peace, no question. So it's a Taino, Afro-Taino virgin, Gabriel Armando Christensen. That's actually a virgin from way back when it says respect out there. And this is actually deconstructing myths in the sense of myths being false. Mythos, true story. What is muted is the true story. What is wisdom in this silence, which is golden, but it's not silence, it's telepathy, it's far more advanced. Anyways, the myths, the mythological traditions, fantasies, and everything that's related is not about St. Valentine's, who didn't even care about romanticism, didn't care about romantic languages, probably spoke in dead tongue, Latin, it was monastic, monotheism, monoculture, mono this and that, usually a problem. What's normalized, so. But mad respect to the people celebrating true love today. That's a wonderful day to celebrate true love at the end, right past the cusp of the end, right past the end, like I said, the cusp of the ending celebration of Chinese New Year's. So it's the 12th, and now we're 14th, St. Valentine's. It's kind of like you end Chinese New Year's, you start celebrating true love and the rebirth of what true love is meant to be, which is unconditional love and acceptance. Unconditional, not in the sense that like I'll love you no matter what, if you get bloated, fat, obese, colonial, liar, this, that, no. Men have these unrealistic standards with women. Now the divine feminine ruling is never a problem. Name me, and I've said this to men before, incels and people in denial. I swear, you talk to random people and they're like, no, patriarchy, matriarchy, same shit. I'm like, no, it really isn't. Name me one matriarchal culture that's been disrespectful, that's been rapey, genocidal, warring, this and that. Warring, you might find some depending on how you define war, but war is related to Mars. You flip it around, Mars, right? Wars. So W-M, double N, W, that's how we call them in French, W, double V. So double V, W, the V's in Roman used to be U. There's a lot of symbolism in pictography and pictographic depictions, hieroglyphics, hieroglyphs, that we don't, fully grasp sometimes. Anyways, this is Aquarius Minded playing in the background. It's an old school brethren of mine who makes mythological down beats. Really, really good shit. I feel like it's a good way to depict this. And this is called Astral Gazing. It's an instrumental that I remixed and redone a couple of different tracks on. But the point being, I wanted to drop this today just to remind people I'm sitting in beautiful surroundings. I have a lot of privilege. I've had so much love in my life, and I still do. I'm very grateful to have, many beings that have actually thanked me and that have loved me throughout the ages. And I say throughout the ages, I don't want to sound stereotypical or corny, but I mean, I believe in that. I believe in reincarnation. Energy is never lost. What is gained in the process is the evolution of knowledge into wisdom, the synthesis of that knowledge into wisdom, which sometimes can be represented through oppositions, sometimes can be represented through whatever the blending of those is. So I appreciate having golden skin. Now, I'd like for people to actually know the difference in many senses. Nobody's ever really been racist towards me except for white people that are colonial in essence. Like the colonial white people, I should say. So the difference is, look at the ceiling up there, right? Look at the light that's shining, that's even more white, right? The ceiling is white, but it's off-white because it's got some shades in it, and that's white. And then my skin is golden, peachy, reddish, ochre, even in some tones, depending on what the sun, on it is. excessive, there's all kinds of shit. So when we think about that, I hope people are actually aware that there's no such thing unless you're someone like a Sudanese man or someone that's got extremely black skin from across the diaspora in Africa. Then you're not really fully either in what you would call the ultimate end of the racist spectrum, or in the beginning either. It's not because somebody is white passing and Asiatic looking that they're white, they're not. The whole idea of Caucasian being white is a complete misnomer. How could you be Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountains, which is in Central Asia, and be white? Who came up with the idea of Europe, like I said before, being a continent? Delusional racist conquerors, delusional rapists, monsters, colonial fucks, coming over in boats and trains and planes and all this shit, trying to colonize the world with their democracies before they even knew the word existed, and they were making a mockery of the whole shit anyways, and the political system is completely patriarchal and dominant, but they claim equality between different sects. Like, say, for example, all the sects or so-called branches of Islam, so-called sects that are actually branches of Islam that are all mystical and all in minority, but then the majority is the minority, and the minority is claimed to be the majority. Like, Sunni being the majority of Islam. That's the one branch that believes in the father-in-law of Muhammad, but all the other ones are mystical and matriarchal. And then they all get, their prophets, their believers, the people who believe in those, like the Baha'is and Babis, get slaughtered, tortured, outlawed if they speak up and rise up, which we always do eventually. And I just want to claim, I want to say, rather than I'm not claiming, that I'm from any of these branches intrinsically, but I actually do feel related and kin to all of them. So the problem with Tzigane is we have the interpretation of who we are, which is what the real crux of the problem is that we come from so many different backgrounds and traditions. We're like Métis coming from 12 or 19 different places. When people are like, you're not enough of this, you're not enough of that, you can't claim status this, that, that's all colonial interpretation. So usually it's always white people saying this kind of shit, Yo, what up, AJ? What up, Laura? Yo, peace. It's a pleasure to actually meet more people hopping in here. So I just wanted to say mad respect on this day. I want to take it back to the roots of Mother Nature, celebrating Lupercalia, like the salvation of the Lupes, the wolves. So it was like wildness, the beauty of wild nature, and celebrating that today. I'm in the middle of the polar vortex here, just outside of Montreal, in a beautiful, 5-star level Airbnb, and I have the privilege of actually being here and being chill on a beautiful day and enjoying myself with some good music, some good kindred, good brethren. And yo, what up, Anthony? Yo, what up? Just want to mention that too. That's like a brother from way back in the days. It's like a brother from another mother, literally. So, celebrating in respect of that, I'm gonna spark up this spliff, because we gotta enjoy ourselves. I swear, we're living in the middle of a mass extinction, right? There's so much crazy shit going on. Oh, yo, please hop in. Yeah, no question. Boom, let's do it.
What's up, man?
Oh, what's good?
Not much, you?
I'm just enjoying this today, man. Just talking about deconstructing the roots of this day that people think it's like one day in a year to celebrate love, but then when we do all the rest of the year, it's like a bunch of people ignore what love means. It's like celebrating a mother on one day, or a lover on one day, or a child on one day, but then 364 days of neglect and one day of celebration.
Yeah.
It's like the birthday thing, we ignore each other so long during the year. And my apologies too, but the last time is like, I haven't hit you back up the last late night. I've
all
literally
good.
just got here, so.
Been busy. I've been cleaning my finger. I slid it with my ash catcher I broke.
Oh shit! Yeah, I thought you were gonna say some crazy shit like machete.
I cut it from the nail bed and all that.
Oh, but that's badass. Still, that's a war story. That's like me when I have good. When people ask me how I got chopped, this and there, there's always good stories to tell. When it's in the middle of it's better to say that than chopping yourself with an onion. I had to think of that story a couple times because of my machetes. I had to tell people I cut myself with chopping an onion because it was easier for me to explain that than say that I cut myself flipping a machete. Yo, peace. I'm back again. Mad respect. Yeah, see, you gotta appreciate the privilege of having good indigenous medicines too. I appreciate this is love to me today. This is so many different levels of love. Mother Nature is always loving us, always respecting us. So please don't mistake love for a box of chocolates that's overpriced, probably full of byproducts and slave labor and sugar that's colonially made and plantations that racism, exploitation, and companies Nestle Mondelez and like, you know, Denon or some other shit or whatever's the other brands, like, all the conglomerates, the world bankers that own all the companies anyways that are mainstream. Please don't support that. Support local, handmade, support beyond fair trade, support indigenous. That's what I'd like to say to everyone listening out there. You know, keep the wild essence alive, but keep it alive every day of the year. Because to me, that's the reason why I wanted to do this, to kind of, yo, what up, World Animals Protection? Peace. That's beautiful. See, that's the essence of the day of the year. World Animal Protection. That's the essence of what we should be doing, loving everyone. You know, making statements, making actions to change the diaspora.
Yeah.
To make sure that we're all actually supporting and protecting Mother Nature and the environment. And ironically, by burning some small amounts of flowers and flora that are medicinal and concocted in that particular way, dried in that particular way to benefit the expanding of the brain and consciousness, I think we're thinking deeper, at least in the process of blazing those trees that we metaphorically speak of and very literally burn.
Yeah.
But, you know, people that tell me, take your medicine, take your chemicals, take your this, you know, take this corporate pill, take an Advil. I'm like, no, I'd rather have a glass of water and a spliff, you know.
Yeah.
I don't need a lot of medications for myself, but, you know, some of them I have to accept. Sometimes it's been in emergency situations. They've been beneficial sometimes to, mitigate certain side effects. But generally, chemicals versus nature, I always pick nature. I always pick nature regardless.
Yeah.
But yeah, yo, you know how much shit, dude, how much fucking propaganda did they try to push on you in fucking high school and elementary school, the French schools especially, probably so much, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like, just true honest, we're being live and uncensored, might as well, do you feel like that this neo-colonial, neo-residential education system, do you think like it's done, do you think there's any positive you got out of that?
From the education I went through?
Yeah, do you feel
there's no positive at all.
That's amazing.
There's actually a positive. My grandfather working for the school.
Thank you for saying that, is what I meant. When I say it's amazing that you're answering that way, is what I mean to say, because so many people will be like, no, man, I think education is very, I'm like, they fucking lie to us. They brainwash us. They push all this fucking garbage onto us. They force us to speak. I don't know if you feel that way, but I felt like they were forcing me so bad to speak French. They were oppressing me from speaking other languages.
Yep, I agree.
And I would say for me, English in the French situation was one of my indigenous languages they didn't want me to speak, but there's many others, Québécois, they didn't want us to speak Québécois, we had to speak proper French, but then there's Français, you know, and then we're allowed to speak. How the fuck are you supposed to learn rules for a language that are completely contradictory to the shit that you're doing live, you know, in classes, when they're telling you, oh, apply these rules, but when you go out in the schoolyard, you can be like, oh, je faisais ça, je suis allé in that place, you know, whatever, c'est arrivé, puis but then you go to class, you have to be like, bonjour, je m'appelle, blah, 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 blah. It's like, fuck, what is this shit? International French, my ass.
Oh, my neighbor's coming out. Hey, Ronald. Hello.
Yo, what
How
up?
are you? Good. Give me a second.
Yeah, no worries. Whew. There's some good blueberry OG. Good shit, man. I'm like fucking lucky as shit to have some good medicines from good people. Make my territory listy good, man. Like, yo, they got the bomb out there. They have the best prices in the world. I've never even come close to like something as sustainable as that. I feel like they're like real medicine people, you know? Yo, what up? Nature Wolf. East. Pleasure. Yo, we're just talking about, it's funny because you pop in, Nature Wolf pops in, and we're talking about the roots of this tradition being from the celebration of the wolves. So it's like literally like a celebration of wolves coming together in nature, in harmony, in bonding and expanding the clan. You know, that's what St. Valentine's is originally, Lupercalia. But then Lupercalia is you'd have to repurpose that in Esperanto language, born from a dead tongue. But like, you know, it's not the Latin root of it. It's the Romance languages that are born from out of that matter the most. And French is one of them. But then Français, they kind of, you know, I feel like they don't even explain to us what Québécois roots are. I'm proud to be Québécois. But Français, it's like you have no pride in that shit. They try to force you to be dominant towards English people and be like renege them and not trust them and this and I'm like, what is this shit?
Yeah.
You know, this is one thing, no joke. I researched that at the Français archives, at the French archives in Regina.
Yeah.
I looked into that, and the roots of many of the villages that weren't Métis, like the Catholic villages and Protestant. They had one Catholic church, one Protestant church in a tiny little village, and everybody from the Catholic church married together in the same families, and everybody from the Protestant church sometimes would go to the Catholic, so they were protesting, you know. But like usually it's like each of the branches was trying to tell all their followers to only stay within their own branches. I researched that as a job at the University of Regina back before First Nations University existed, right next to it. And I was doing research for First Nations University to show that there was racist people were inbred. And I proved that by my research, but that shit's probably covered up confidential shit. They never published those, you know, findings anywhere. Because who the fuck's gonna want to publish that the racist people in the French community are all inbred? There's the Métis people, couleur des bois, the people that mix and match with other cultures. Like you're Métis. You're born like it's crazy because you're born like Elvin Métis, you know, like man, your sustainability standards. You've lived in the hood for ages. But you grew up with like fucking Jason, fucking like Friday the 13th and shit that was super hardcore, like way more hardcore than that when you were like 3 years old, probably 2 years
Yep.
old. You've lived like, you know, this is what I think back to. No joke, Anthony. I'm sorry I haven't been there more often to actually protect you from that shit, man.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
Because I'll be honest, nobody was even there. Have you ever thought about that? Do you wish you could go back and talk to yourself from back then?
I wish I could go back to talk to myself to start defend myself against my father.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking today. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I'm able to do, but it depends on the ages. Some ages, when I was a teenager, I'd go back and I'd be like, listen, you got to listen to me close. Like, it's very important. Otherwise, you're going to die soon. You might die from doing this or that, crash a car or some shit. You know, I'd warn them. But as a youth, I'd be there to protect for sure. But even then, as a teenager, I'd be there, okay, I'll protect you from this and that, but I can't just be there to put you under my wing and be like, yo. But I'd be like a mafia boss in a sense, in a good way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be like, yo, I'll show you what I've survived. This is me from the future talking to you. You know, but and it's crazy because I'm like, how the fuck? I wish I could have gotten rid of your, like, no joke, man. I wish I could have made your dad, like, fucking go to permanent hospital or something. You know, like, I don't know what the fuck I could have done. And I'm sure.
Sad just texted George a couple days
No
ago.
way.
Yeah.
He's still alive? I thought he died of an OD.
No, we had to move because of him.
Yeah, I know. Man, you're so compassionate. It's crazy. Like, it's insane because I'm like, I feel guilty that I couldn't protect you from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but it's all good, man.
Yo, you're like, it's crazy. Your level of compassion on that, it's like you when you were cold training. You cold train more than I do. You have more compassion than I do. You're like, your abilities are so far beyond me. Like, honestly, I'm glad you're from the next generation because that gives me faith for the future of humankind. It's crazy.
Fuck, I don't have faith for the future kind nowadays.
I have faith in women and youth. Like, I have faith in you. I have faith in Jesse and Cove. Easy. Easy. That's next generation, easy. But my own generation, the generation of my parents, I have no faith in them. So little. Like, those, depending on who. Some really wonderful elders. But my mom's one of the best from my family. She's the only one I still talk to. You know what I mean? Like, the rest of my family, they all betrayed me, man. They sold me out to, like, they got molested and abused by their own father. And they sold me out to that. How the fuck am I supposed to forgive that? It's like fucked up shit, man. That people, you know, it's like we're not even supposed to talk about that. My uncle even told me, he's like, you don't talk about that shit. You know, he's like, that's just part of life, you know? And you can't fucking hide that. That's insane. That's my whole family, you know, on both sides. And my mom tells me later on, my uncle and the Catholic priest molested my uncle at residential school. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like this whole country is built on like denying, and your status Métis more than I am. You know what I mean? Plus your next generation. So you know what the fuck they tried to lie and say the last residential school survivors were from like fucking like 9 years old now or they're dead or something. That's a lie. That's why I did a whole conference about that. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like everything that we've been through. I use my life as a blueprint, but it's the same principle. It's like I prove that the whole school system was still abusing youth, and that's what they're doing, you know?
Well, they were, honestly.
Yeah, but it's like it's never changing fast enough. That's my only issue, is that when I was going there giving conferences, they were happy that I was doing that. they were like telling me they were glad that I was there talking about the truth because they're like, we can't talk about this shit. We're not legally allowed to talk about it. And I explained in the conference. I still have it on my Facebook. It's my most famous Facebook post. I explained in that conference from Newton Academy that the stuff I was saying was banned in the schools, but that they were allowing me to speak that because I came with PhD credentials. I came with a doctorate,
Yeah.
and I came from a famous university in this city. So I had really good grades and I had famous, credentials, so that they allowed me to come speak there. Otherwise, if I was from the streets, you think they would have let me just walk in from the streets and be like, "Here, I'm barefoot.
No.
I'm in a graffiti-covered T-shirt. I'm wearing a turban. I'm just gonna come talk about
Hello.
nature and angels and like insects and
Just 1 second.
yeah, no worries."
Oh, sorry. This Ali Tazua, she doesn't live here anymore, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah. She's got some for Canada. Okay. Just got this and no problem. Anyone living upstairs here yet?
Yes, that's my yes. Our manager that works there moved up here because
Okay.
he couldn't drive. He doesn't have a license, so
Yeah.
he needs to be on call more often. So they just moved closer to the building.
Right across the
Yeah,
street.
and they're pretty nice people compared to our last fucking tenants.
Yeah?
They sucked.
Are they?
Yeah,
The
fucking.
McLeans?
Huh?
The McLeans?
Yeah, the McLeans. Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck, I hate them.
The guy kind of seemed like a dickhead.
He would put his boots on in like 3, 4 in the morning, banging around the floor and all that, putting his TV full blast and all that kind of shit.
Huh. Well, I'm glad you got a better change.
Right? Yeah. Take care.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too. What's up, Anton?
Give me a second. I just gotta go to spit this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have hotboxed the place.
Huh?
This is bad. I shouldn't have hotboxed the place.
Fair enough. Are you not home?
Yeah, no, I am, but I don't know. I'm just trying to enjoy myself, but I don't want to. I even said in one of my tracks, Tobacco, Sage, and Ganja, Truth, Wisdom, and Myth. I actually said, don't smudge to cleanse, don't combust your body entirely to embers, because I smoke too much. I'll be honest about that shit. I know.
I do too. You're not the only
that's
one.
fine.
Hey, guess what, Anton?
Hmm?
Tried my first spliff yesterday.
No way.
Yeah.
That's bombs. That's the first time you did a spliff yesterday.
Yeah, tobacco and marijuana.
No way. Holy shit. Yo, that takes me back. Because I grew up on that shit. Like, I grew up, like, rolling. I used to even tell my friends when we broke an old school cigar, I'd be like, yo, don't waste the tobacco. They throw it out, just use it as a blunt wrap. I'm like, no, use the tobacco. Like, mix it in. Nobody wanted to. But that was, like, younger. Like, that was when I was, like, 11, 12. That was crazy shit for me. That's, like, way back in the days.
Yeah, I met one of my neighbors, and it's pretty chill. He has a American fighting dog. It's a pit bull,
Huh.
and his name is Mix. He's just the biggest baby.
Yo, I love, man, totems are the shit. Like, they're watchers, they're guardians, they do everything. Man. You know what it's like. We all grew up with a lot of them. A lot of cats, a lot of dogs, like felines and like wolves.
Yeah.
Like, they're like domesticated wolves, basically, with that pit bulls. Are like, man, they're like the bodybuilders of like
Of dogs.
like the dogs, like out of the pit bulls, the bulldogs, the terriers, the Boston terriers, the pugs are like smaller versions of that.
Yep.
And then the chihuahuas are kind of like that too, but in like, they're like youth form, like they're like, they're like youth Doberman, basically the Dobermans too. They're like, slim, but they're built. That's crazy. The types of like, and we forget what racism is. And we have racist, like the one TEDx talk actually talks about how we're all in the racist spectrum, no matter what.
Yeah.
Right? There's positive the racist spectrum. Most people would be on there for the positive racist spectrum if they have good intentions.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, I'm not racist towards Mexicans. I know a lot of good Mexican people. As soon as you say that's racist already. So it's like, because you're like, yo, that means I know a lot of good, shut up. It's like, yo, it's like, yo, I got that. No, I'm not racist. I got an African friend. Like, fuck off. Like, it's like, people make up all these stereotypes of what it is to be positively racist, but then they think they don't realize it's romanticization, stereotypification. We're all guilty of that at some point. But that's better off than the other way that's like KKK, neo-Nazi, fucking this. Okay, where the fuck are they, man? They're hiding in a basement somewhere in Germany, like in a bunker underneath a fucking disaffected fucking Nazi base. Like where there's lots everywhere around me. I see zombies. I see people that are half conscious. I see like, you know, people struggling, elders that they lost their way or something. They're forced in a drug-induced system, big pharma. I see people like every day. I feel like I'm a part of that system. I got forced into it too. So you know what it's like. Same thing to you. You know, you're in the beginning of your life compared to me. Like, you know, I'm like twice your age. But it's crazy because we could still, in some ways, we still look like we could be distant cousins or brothers, you know? Like we could have been like from a similar, like you're bigger than me, you're more built than I am, you look taller, more impressive. You're like, you know, you got more genetics. Your genes are closer to the immortals than mine are. Like you're closer to the Fey realms, the Elven realms, the Giants realms. Like you're actually like you're in between all of them, but you know what it was like to grow up and be like that person that got picked on. That was the same thing for me. Like honestly, you didn't know that because you weren't even there when I was getting picked on as a youth. But it was crazy, man. I was like that kid that everybody.
Yeah, I got picked on a shit ton as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can, man. Everybody made fun of everything I did, no matter what I ate, what I did, what I this, that. It was always something. My name,
Right?
my lips, my ears. So it's crazy. It's crazy to think that now, after all I want to tell to people, and when I talk to like anything I've done, high school, like elementary, middle school, university conferences, anything I've ever said, summer camps, I'm always like, listen, just remember, I try to think anyways, and when I'm consciously on that, I usually just go off the top. But you know, when we're not doing, you know, graffiti or talking about a certain subject, somebody asks up, I always tell people, remember, like, it's a transitional stage. You know, I try to invert the principle. When I explain to students, I'm like, it's not harder to do a PhD. It's easier once you get to that level. But they'll lie to you, tell you the PhD is hard, but it's the BA that's hard. When you get into the BA level, they make you do like 5 years or 4 years of studies, hardcore, like 5 different classes, 6 sometimes with like a lab on top of that. One of my friends was doing that. Like, Fuadi Lisu, like, he's from Ghana. He was doing 6 classes with his labs, and I'm like, fuck, he's working a full-time job and he's taking care of everyone at the same time. I'm like, fuck, the guy's like, you know what it's like to be a machine. When people look at you and you smoke like Snoop Dogg, you probably people are like, holy fuck. Yeah, I don't know if I could hang with you, man. You know, like the guy that's like started to spark a spliff for 2 seconds, and he's like, you know, he's like, I'm good after one puff. You know, they don't. Some people don't know what it's like to have life rough.
Yeah.
They don't know why you need medicine or why you have a drink or why you need, like, you know, when people are on medication, why they need to be on that or they don't. You know, it's like a lot of people haven't been through enough. They've been through so much privilege and bubble existence in a sense, like without realizing what it's like to suffer.
Yeah.
That they don't realize their suffering is a lot of subliminal privileges that they have. But yeah, man, it's rough to talk about this kind of shit. Especially, it's funny. I just feel like it's real. Today, I told myself I never censor myself, but I'm like, you know what? Let me do something completely, you know, different from what people would probably do today. You know, just not even talk. Just talk about unconditional love for everyone in general. Not talk about one day of celebrating like corporate love where you have to buy a box of chocolates that you can afford and some roses get hand delivered to the door, a whole bouquet if you're really rich and you're very romantic. It's like, so you're gonna chop that many roses that are probably grown in like some kind of a warehouse that uses electricity that might be from coal and nuclear powered energy or some unsustainable dam that's been destroying communities and displacing indigenous peoples. And then you're like, oh, do I want the roses or I'm like, fuck, I'm glad I'm broke. I'm glad I don't have that much money, but I have a lot of responsibilities. Like I know I have the ability to respond to a lot of situations. I try to do whatever I can, but realistically, just living in awareness of Mother Nature and in humility of Mother Nature is enough to make you think about a lot of shit. Like you're just, I feel like you know, because Rastas, that's why they smoke so much, you know.
Yeah. But I'm a dip out. I'm going inside. I'm getting cold.
Oh yeah, no, do your thing, Virgin. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, I'll call you later.
Up, man. Yeah.
Peace.
Mad respect. So this has been raw and uncut for the no Saint Valentine special for a fake Roman saint that nobody should remember. like nobody should remember St. Patrick's, other than remembering the fact that he was so beyond blasphemy that he drowned elven fey beings in wells because they didn't want to be Catholics. Imagine what the IRA would have done to him back then. Who the fuck is hunting the Catholic priests and the false nuns and all the evils at the Vatican? I wonder what's going on or what's happening in this live. This is live and direct. I promise that this isn't rambling. I hope you go and dig back. Mad respect to everyone. Peace. Think back.